This is a stimulus update and daily news report. Got some big updates to share with you as inflation rages on. Democrats are scrambling to try to bring down the prices of gas as well as inflation in general. I'll play you a video clip of what the Democrats plan on doing. Then I'll play you a counter video clip of what the Republicans want to do to bring down the prices of inflation. Also, when it comes to stimulus, fourth stimulus check update, 5 payments worth up to $1,700 going out this month. I'll let you know more details on that. And another state has just approved more stimulus checks going on there. And I'll give you some other more important updates as well. Hope you're having a wonderful weekend. If you appreciate the fact-based, fast-paced updates, hit the like button down below. So people are buying less stuff as inflation rages, and it's a terrible sign for Democrats' chances in the midterms. It's just not looking good because inflation is just bringing up the prices of everything. So real disposable income, what people can spend after taxes and inflation, has steeply declined. The measure is the strongest predictor of midterm results, according to Goldman Sachs, and that's a bad sign for Democrats, who already faced an uphill battle to keep control of Congress. So not looking good for the Democrats at this point, and so stressed out gas prices force many to rethink driving and spending. So it's not that just gas is expensive in general, but now it is dictating people's lives of where they're going to drive, how long they're going to drive. It's no longer get in the car and go somewhere wherever you feel like it, but it's a lot more stressful now. So the big question is, what is being done about it? So first up, I'm going to play you the Democrat or the Republican perspective of what should be done about gas prices, rising inflation, and things like that, and how it can be fixed. Then I'll play you the Democrat perspective after that, what's going on with July 4th. So take a look at this video clip first.
Joining us now, Ranking Member of House Budget, Congressman Jason Smith. Congressman, okay, your reaction to what Edward Lawrence is just reporting. He's going to ask for more oil production out of the Gulf states, but he's not going to ask Saudi Arabia. Why is he going there?
I'll tell you, this administration, like what the reporter was just saying, trying to blame inflation and the increase in gas prices on Putin's invasion. Let me tell you, Liz, before Putin ever moved any military towards an invasion, inflation was up 7.5% in the United States, and gas prices were up 75% since Joe Biden took the oath of office. It's hogwash for people to allow this administration to try to blame it on Putin and Ukraine when, in fact, it's their policies that's created the disaster with energy and with inflation.
You know, the Supreme Court ruling that the EPA overreached, that it cannot adopt on its own this sweeping regulatory scheme started under the Obama White House to push the U.S. power grid away from fossil fuels toward wind energy and solar energy. But Congressman, the Biden White House is still pushing the Biden climate agenda through the Clean Air Act. Texas Governor Greg Abbott, he's in a new and major fight. Biden's EPA wants to crack down on the nation's biggest oil field, the Permian Basin in Texas, claiming it's violating ozone pollution standards. That's a quarter of America's gas supply and 40% of our oil.
This administration's war on U.S. energy is exactly what's driving up the prices for every American whenever they pull into the gas pump. The fact that they're now trying to wage a regulatory war on an area in the United States that produces 40% of our gasoline is unacceptable. Apparently, this administration would rather be reliant on Saudi Arabia, Venezuela, or other countries rather than our own U.S. oil supply. It's unacceptable. He should travel less than 1,000 miles to Midland, Texas, rather than going to Saudi Arabia when you're talking about producing more oil.
And, you know, Congressman, the Permian Basin is one of the nation's biggest employers. Nearly 100,000 workers there, plus it supports thousands of workers in towns near it. Let's watch climate advisor Gina McCarthy brag about the fossil fuel sector losing jobs under President Biden. Watch.
We just had a recent report that was put out that's showing all of the energy and the employment stats from last year. Clean energy is winning. Fossil fuels losing jobs.
What do you say?
Liz, this administration and everyone who works for him is completely out of touch with reality. But you know what? They're doing exactly what they campaigned on. Joe Biden, when he was campaigning for president, he said, look into my eyes. I guarantee you, I will eliminate fossil fuels. That's what he said when he was running for office, and that's in fact what his administration's trying to do. Their belief is increase gas so then everyone can drive an electric car. But guess what? Buying a $60,000 electric car in southeast Missouri isn't quite easy whenever people's median income household is $40,000 for a family of four. They're out of touch with real Americans.
And Congressman, Russia's Vladimir Putin is probably applauding this today. The president said over in Europe today that we will all have to pay for high gas as long as it takes in order to defeat Russia. Putin wants high oil to pay for his war in Ukraine. This is Biden's price hike, not Putin's. Let's take a listen. Watch.
I can understand why the American people are frustrated because of inflation. But inflation is higher in almost every other country. Prices at the pump are higher in almost every other country. We're better positioned to deal with this than anyone, but we have a way to go. Ultimately, the reason why gas prices are up is because of Russia. Russia.
How long is it fair to expect American drivers and drivers around the world to pay that premium for this war?
As long as it takes, so Russia cannot, in fact, defeat Ukraine and move beyond Ukraine.
Russia's in it for the long haul. As long as it takes. Are we heading to like $10 a gallon?
If the administration has their way, Joe Biden would make sure you're paying $10 a gallon. These folks are completely out of touch, like I said, with everyday American. They want to raise the cost of energy. They want to raise the price per gallon. Their goal is to eliminate fossil fuels. Liz, as I said earlier, inflation was up 7.5% before Putin ever invaded Ukraine. Gas prices were up 75% before Putin invaded Ukraine. And it's because of the policies by executive order of Joe Biden and his administration. And this is what they want. And now they're trying to blame Putin. It's crazy.
What are your thoughts on that? Do you agree, disagree? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. So with July 4th, just coming up, I guess tomorrow, inflation is making 4th of July celebrations more expensive than ever. Thanks to inflation, even a backyard barbecue is more expensive this year. It's just getting way too high. But what are the Democrats doing about it? Take a look at this video clip right here, given the Democrat perspective of rising inflation, rising prices in general.
Turning now to the economy heading into this 4th of July weekend. The market's set to open moments from now after posting their worst first half of a year in half a century. That's because of inflation, with people nationwide set to pay 17% more this year for their 4th of July barbecues compared to last year, just as one measure of how prices have gone up. But travel is bouncing back, with gas prices dropping slightly after reaching record highs. Airline delays and cancellations are snarling hundreds of travelers across the country, thousands of them. The Washington Post headline says it all: "Welcome to summer travel. It's hell." Joining us now, co-anchor of CNBC's Squawk Box, our friend Andrew Ross Sorkin. Andrew, good to see you, my friend. So let's talk first about the markets. The worst first half of a year for the markets since 1970. Things get better from here?
There have been historical parallels which would suggest that things do get better from here. In fact, the idea that inflation may actually get tamped down and that you could see the markets rise a bit from here. The question is, how much are they going to actually rise to the point where people actually are flat by the end of the year? I don't think most economists expect that. But as we do see inflation coming down a bit, getting tamped down a bit, there is that hope. Having said that, you mentioned it. We're going to be seeing inflation in very real terms this weekend. I think a lot of folks in Washington and the administration are looking to see what the polls are going to look like next week. In fact, as a result of the experiences that folks have going out, buying food, getting on airplanes, all that travel that you talked about, the travel from hell, and how they feel about where our economy is, because they're going to feel it in a way that I'm not sure people even appreciate just yet.
So, Andrew, on the question of inflation, there were some numbers that came out this morning from Europe. The Eurozone is up to 8.6% inflation, matching where the United States is right now. Obviously, there's a lot of pressure on this administration to do something about it. They say it's Putin's price hike. Yes, the war is part of the problem, but there's a lot else that goes into it. What are the hopes for people watching going into this 4th of July weekend that it may begin to tick down? We've seen a little tick down in some early indicators, gas prices coming down slightly. What else can we look to?
There are signs that things are going to tick down. You're also, by the way, seeing that there have been retailers, unfortunately, that have actually bought too much merchandise that people aren't buying. That's going to go on sale. That's going to push prices down for certain types of things. So I think you're going to start to see that. There's a lot more chips coming online. We talked about the COVID restrictions in China perhaps getting lifted or at least easing up a bit. That should help on the manufacturing side. There are things that are happening, and by this fall, I do think we're going to see that inflation looks a little bit better. Having said that, interestingly, the American Airlines pilots are in the middle of renegotiating their contracts. That would help how much money they're getting paid, but it's a lot more than before. In some cases, if you're a top pilot at American Airlines flying a wide-body plane, top captain's going to be being paid about $425,000, $64,000 increase. That's great for that pilot, and I appreciate all pilots, especially because when I'm flying. But those are going to get passed on to consumers in the cost of travel, and people need to understand those dynamics.
What are your thoughts there now that you've heard the Democrat and the Republican perspective? Which side do you agree with more? So supermarkets, gas stations forced to advertise Pritzker tax relief. So this is going on in Illinois. So July 1st, which was a couple days ago, marks the start of the suspended state grocery tax and delay in the automatic gas tax hike. Both industries are required by law to display signs reminding customers of the suspensions, but only gas stations face $500 a day fines if they fail to comply. So July 1st, basically all of the gas stations have to show a sign of what's going on here. They have to put a sign saying that has mandated grocers and gas stations owners both to advertise election year relief, but only the station owners face criminal penalties, basically saying that the gas stations have to say, hey, this is election year relief, and up until election day, they have to have a sign and advertise it, and if not, they face $500 a day fine. Basically, because Governor Pritzker is running again for governor, he wants everybody to know the relief that he is giving. Let me know, is that a good thing to do? If he's given the relief, should he get credit for it, or is this some type of ploy to get reelected? Let me know your thoughts on that. That's just going on in Illinois. And then when it comes to fourth stimulus check update 2022, 5 payments worth up to $1,700 going out this month. The exact dates they'll arrive. So a little rundown here. I'll give you the different. All right, so we got Maine, Oregon, and Indiana are sending out statewide up to $1,700, $600, and $250 respectively. Chicago giving out transit gas checks up to $150. And then Johnson County, Iowa giving a $1,400 check. So that's just kind of like a quick rundown there. And then also, stimulus check update, New Mexicans to receive more payments next week. So next week, looks like residents of New Mexico are going to receive $500 checks for couples, and then $250 checks for individuals. So $250 and $500 checks going out in New Mexico, but should there be more federal checks? It seems like we're seeing a lot of state checks, but what about federal checks, and should more states give this type of update or give these type of funds and stimulus and aid? I think they should. Let me know your thoughts, and that is all the news that I have for you today to hopefully cheer you up a bit. Here's my daughter Bella's tip of the day.
Hi guys, this is Bella. This is the tip of the day. I want to tell you something that you should really use. If you're at the pool or something and you get hurt or something, you should just try your best, because sometimes that happens to me too, and it's not really fun. But if you got hurt like that one time, I'm sure you could deal with it, and you can be strong and powerful like how you are. So, bye! Hope you have a great day.
Thank you so much for watching. Appreciate all of your support. So I think tomorrow we will be back, and once we get back, I'm going to do a regular video in my studio, and we'll be out of Florida, back in South Carolina. Had a good trip with the family. You know, now that school's over and stuff, wanted to celebrate Kalea's 4th birthday. Which is pretty crazy how she's getting so big. Anyways, if you want to check out any of my other videos, you could click up here, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, be safe. Thank you for watching.